Hi, today I'm here with Angela Ferrante. Angela is the founder and CEO of Laudable. And Laudable has an incredible mission to end boring content in B2B marketing. So I'm going to let Angela tell us a little bit more about this.
Hi, yeah, it's great to be here. And yes, that is definitely our mission. My background was in B2B marketing for energy technology, an energy tech startup, and was just, we see so much cool stuff in B2B, treating humans like humans and all the marketing content. And then the playbook for B2B tends to be pretty stale, right? Lots of long white papers, lots of very generic press releases, and just felt like there's a better way to do that. Yes, B2B is different than B2C, but we're still ultimately selling to humans. So the way that we approach that is by making it easier to get humans on video and tell real human stories, sort of unearth the authenticity with the voices from your customers, partners, employees, and the like.
I love it. I love it. My background is in B2B as well, and I can really relate to what you're talking about. And so today we're going to talk a little bit more about videos and how really B2B marketers should think about leveraging videos in their content strategy right now and how it's been changing, obviously, in the past few years, but more so in the past 12 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's certainly been changing, right? I think I remember talking to a few companies when I was starting Laudable about a year and a half ago. And most of the marketers and CEOs that I was talking to said, hands down, video is the biggest gap in our marketing strategy. We need to do video, we need to figure it out. And I think there's sort of this mental burden or mental barrier when it comes to planning video because it seems like such a behemoth undertaking. And traditionally it has been. My experience at SparkFun, the company I was at prior to starting Laudable, was spending 4 months, $25,000, and a whole lot of my entire team's time to get one single video produced. And that just doesn't jive with the need of marketers today to be producing a whole lot of content. So I think a lot of people are sort of intimidated on where to start when it comes to video, or they're doing video and can't kind of produce enough or make it authentic and sort of engaging enough. So I definitely think there's a gap, and I think COVID has only accelerated the need to figure out how to step up the video game.
Mm-hmm. And so, have you noticed a change in the way people are thinking about producing videos? Moving away from this like huge production effort into something more authentic and more scalable.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you use Hulu or Netflix as an example, but the ones that have advertisements, right? Hulu, other on-demand streaming services, and half the commercials I see on there, and these are TV made commercials, are featuring basically user generated content or some version of a lower production value, kind of authentic, user centric piece. And that is indicative to me of what's going on in the broader landscape right now, right? I log into LinkedIn and half of my feed is conversations between people that feel more authentic than there's no film crew there. Even big CEOs at Goldman Sachs and these very large, traditionally stuffier, industry
Mhm.
type companies, and they're doing lower production quality video, partly because they have to, right? You're not going to send a film crew right now, most likely in the middle of COVID, but also because it's what we're getting more used to seeing and getting more used to digesting, and what feels authentic. So I think that's a huge change. People are adjusting sort of their expectations of what they're going to see in their feeds on TV, and then the producers are sort of adjusting their expectations around what kind of content they're going to put out.
Right, right. And I think what's interesting too is that for years we've been trying to, marketers have been kind of faking this content, right? Hiring
Mhm.
people, especially in B2C, like hiring people pretending to use their product and
Yeah.
whatever. And now we're saying, no, like actually show me the people, right? In their environment, how they're using the product, how they want to talk about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it's tricky. I think one thing when you think about that form of video of almost you I don't love the word testimonial because when you think what do you think when you think of a testimonial?
Something like a little bit stuffy, like high production
Yeah,
value with like very set questions and
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same, right? I think testimonial, I think someone sitting there, oh, I love working with Caroline. She's wonderful. This was a great experience. I tripled my ROI. Cut, right? And
Great.
what really is working, in my opinion, and what we're seeing is engaging human emotion centric type of videos. So making it really feel natural, having the subject on camera tell a story, having the subject seem comfortable in their environment and really opening up versus just reading a script. We don't use scripts for anything, and I would encourage anybody in customer stories or customer testimonial videos, do not use a script. It's not going to give you an authentic feeling video. But that's definitely like the type of content that is working more is get down, like strip away the script and make it feel like it's an actual authentic conversation with your customer. Show them in their environment, and that is not always easy to do. If you send them a request to, hey, send us a testimonial, most people are going to send back, that's sort of asynchronous. Most people are going to send back, it was really great to work with Caroline, and it really did a lot for our business, and hopefully this testimonial is helpful. Okay, thanks, bye. Right? So it requires some staging to get to that authenticity, but I think it's really worth it and makes a huge difference.
So, what would be your advice for companies that are trying to start this authentic testimonial process? Like, how do they start? How do they get there?
Yeah, so I think first step would be figuring out what value proposition, what themes, what messaging you want to come across. And that starts with who's your audience, right? Is this for prospective customers? What are you trying to do? Is this about lead generation, top of funnel? And so, what are the main things you want to hook in somebody messaging wise with that? Or is it about converting existing prospects? So it's a little more mid or bottom of funnel. So sort of defining who your audience is and what your core objective is step one. And then that lets you turn that into what are the stories and messages you really want to tell here. And at that stage, I would encourage thinking outside of the box, right? Again, scrap the idea of a traditional testimonial and instead we actually have a page that gives I think about 15 examples of ideas or themes for non-traditional customer spotlights or customer features. So I encourage you to think about it as a customer spotlight. And then what can you do to make that a little bit more interesting and different? So starting with the themes and the messaging and the questions that you're going to ask the customer, I think is really, really important to start to shake things up a little bit. So that's kind of step one and two.
Great. Awesome. And we'll put the link in the comments for everybody who's interested here.
Yeah, there's some really fun examples in there, and we link to some examples of companies that are doing these. Like I think there's one from Sendoso, from Gong. They're all doing kind of fun, different stuff when it comes to featuring customers, and so we show some of those examples.
That's great. Super useful. Okay, well, I think we covered a lot in this video. Thank you again for being with us and giving us so many insights. And I think that now everybody is ready to start their own videos.
Yeah, thank you. Really nice to chat.